And welcome to the VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner on Monday, the 26th of September. And it's a sort of big Cornish mining week, certainly for me. I'm down in Cornwall. It's actually a lovely sunny morning, although blowing quite a lot. But it was a beautiful day yesterday and a wonderful round of golf I had too. Anyway, Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. My warm-up round on Saturday was not great off the tee, but the irons and short game wasn't too bad.
Well, fingers crossed. The weather's looking pretty grim for Friday when we have our big match, but you know it may get postponed. You never know. We'll just see. Anyway, let's turn to mining news this morning. The world's still in chaos. The pound has shrunk to its lowest at 103. It's actually bounced to about 106. It was actually last at this level, for your interest, in 1987. I remember I was actually working in New York at the time. It was when the crash took place. And I can assure you, working in New York, earning dollars and then coming back to London for the weekend did seem pretty cheap. But of course, what we do know also is that after 87, when it got to a dollar to the pound, it then bounced very rapidly back actually to $2 to the pound. And we've sort of been on a slow decline to where we are now. But if you look at the chart, we're not going to stay down at this level forever. And to be honest with you, the US would buy the whole of UK PLC if we did stay down at this level. So I would expect over the next 2 years, the pound to probably rally back towards sort of 140, 150 actually, but it'll take a couple of years to happen. There's a prediction that not many big banks would probably be making. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the dollar particularly, except for the fact, of course, commodities are priced in dollars. So when we look at gold or any of the other lithium or tin or all these things, clearly the value of that underlying commodity has sort of gone up in terms of sterling as a sterling holder. So it's actually very good news for UK holders of mining companies. I think you'd agree, Ollie.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, gold in sterling terms is pretty much at all-time highs, where it reached in sort of 2020, since the financial crash in 2008, which is when gold made its highs in dollar terms last. The sterling price has actually outperformed that quite significantly. So it's always worth remembering your currencies when you're investing in mining stocks.
Yeah, I do like the way you think of the crash as 2008, and I tend to think of it as 1987. But anyway, that just tells you the difference in our ages, Ollie. Anyway, let's go to news today. I know one that I spotted this morning that I thought was interesting was Altin Gold, that had interim today, showed a net profit of $11.7 million. So, just annualize that, and you're talking about, $23, $24 million. Its market cap is only that. So it's on a sort of P of 1, probably one that ought to be going private. IDAR's, clearly very capable at running a mining company. We now discovered that, but clearly also, unfortunately, investors struggle with his investor relations and the fact that it's in Kazakhstan as well. Don't know if you had a view on that, Ollie.
Well, yeah, in terms of that valuation, it's obviously very low, but it does have quite a high, it's got a reasonably high debt load, $62 million, I think, thereabouts. But as you say, if you annualize that first half profit, that's sort of 4 times net debt, because cash is basically just about $1 million. So it's all debt. But that's, in the grand scheme of things, 4 times net debt to earnings is not particularly stretch, but obviously, I think investors want to see that paid down a bit, particularly, in Kazakhstan at the moment. Currency depreciation is really helping their unit costs, which were about $730 an ounce, so very low cost operation.
Yeah, well, we'll watch it with interest. There's not a lot of liquidity in the stock though, so okay, what else you got, Ollie?
There's some news out from the majors this morning. Antofagasta's up off the back of it. All of the others are down, but Anglo American has announced that its Quellaveco project, they've reduced the guidance from 100 to 150,000 tons of copper this year down to 80 to 100. They've left next year's guidance unchanged at 320 to 370,000 tons. So that was their major project in Peru. A lot of people thought that was going to help make the copper market balance this year, but obviously a cut in the guidance there is positive for copper prices, weakening the supply-demand balance, but obviously negative for Anglo-American. But looking at the screen, it looks like concerns over demand are outweighing that overall this morning.
Yeah, well, nothing's been taken well this morning anyway. The market's still pretty tough. So, okay, anything else?
Announcement from Emerson, the potash developer in Morocco. They've announced their interim results and also a funding deal, $6 million at 6 pence a share, which is a small premium to today's price, I think. They've had reaffirmed commitment from their strategic investors who are extending their commitment by another 12 months, but they've also announced a retail offer for investors to be involved that way. So with all of that, they're on track for their starting construction in 2023. Obviously the backdrop with potash prices still high and Russia being central to that market, it's still pretty good for an independent player coming in, and that total commitment of I think $64 million plus whatever the retail offer raises ties them over through to construction, and obviously the capex of 400 million looks like a reasonably high number on its own in the context of the potash market. That is a very low capex number given the nature of the project.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's one that we follow for a long time. It's just taken all these projects take so long, don't they, Ollie? But it's a good project, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good project. But yeah, with supply chain issues and everything else, everyone is. It's taking time for everyone, in what is already a slow process.
Okay, probably because of my rambling on about currencies, etc. We sort of done our 5 minutes. Unless there's anything urgent you want to do.
No, I think that's a pretty good summary of the key things I've seen this morning.
Very good. Interesting enough, I did play golf yesterday with someone whose wife worked for British Lithium. So I've got all the inside gossip on that, but that's not for this podcast. I'll talk to you about that another time. There you go. That was a little bit of Cornish mining. Very good. We'll speak again tomorrow.
Speak to you then. Cheers.